Hey there guys, what's up? Ragtter here, welcoming you back to Hearthstone. Tonight, we're playing the Parlor wing of One Night in Karazhan. That means we're going to be taking on the three bosses, the Silverware Golem, the Magic Mirror, and the Chess event. So, for the Silverware Golem, we're going to have to be fighting against a constant wave of plates, and cups, and forks, and knives, and spoons, and I'm not even kidding. So I built this deck specifically to deal with 1/1 minions, and you can see me throwing out my gross little tentacle, and there's that plate. This boss can dish out those minions every turn for free. So I'm just going to ping one off with my firebolt, and then I'm going to go whack the golem with my tentacle, and that's going to sound gross every time I say it. But this tentacle actually kind of messed up with the AI a little bit, I think, because I think the AI was less willing to get aggressive than if I didn't have it. I played this deck previously with my N'Zoth Paladin deck, and I got creamed. This boss was so aggressive, I just couldn't do anything against it. But I feel like the threat of that board clear, for some reason, kept the AI for the boss in check. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it was just a coincidence, but it felt good, I'll give you that. So, my Mad Bomber is able to take out his plate from the previous turn, but is going to get taken down in turn by a warrior spell, and this boss can incorporate a number of weird and different spells, but you don't really have to worry about that. So I'm going to toss down my mirror images to act as a buffer, going to blow away this plate with another firebolt, and I'm going to whack into the boss one more time with my tentacle. And it's slow but steady so far. I'm managing to keep all of the damage from overwhelming me, and that's the most important thing with this boss. Have board clear. If you don't have board clear, this is gonna happen. Look at all these plates! I don't even have a need for these. There's just too many. But I have some neat tricks in my deck that can help me deal with that. Number one being my tentacle. When it dies, it deals 1 damage to all minions, and that includes these crappy little plates. So I throw down my Wild Pyromancer, who does about the same. He'll deal 1 damage to every minion whenever I cast a spell, further anticipating the nonsense that's going to come out from this deck, and he is going to heal us both with his Tusker. So now I have a bit of a weird spot to be in. I wasn't anticipating that big of a minion to come out. He didn't play that at all when I played against him with my N'Zoth Paladin. So I throw out my weird, creepy minion changer, and I get a 1 upgrade to all of my minions, and I actually get this awesome hunter minion. I had never dealt with this card before, but at the end of every one of my turns, it deals 1 damage to all minions, and that completely and utterly breaks this encounter! Because it doesn't deal damage to itself, I can just sit back and go for face every turn, and I know that these minions will die. It became a complete non-issue. It became so easy after that. So first of all, I'm going to use my Cone of Cold to get rid of his taunt. I'm going to sack my imp into his current minion, and now I can get as aggressive as I want. By the way, my Kodo Rider going to get another Kodo because of Inspiring, or because of the Inspire mechanic. And now, I'm only going to hurt my own minions with this one, but the whole premise behind this card breaks this encounter in a lot of ways, because in order to keep it balanced, at least on normal difficulty, I haven't seen what the heroic difficulty brings to this challenge, but all of the plates and pretty much all of the silverware have 1 HP. So all I have to do is go for face every turn, and I will wipe his board. As long as he doesn't go for this particular minion, I'm safe. And I was fairly jubilant when this was happening, by the way, because like I said, I lost to this with my N'Zoth Paladin, which is my ranking deck. I have a lot of wins under my belt with it, and I felt like a complete idiot for getting toasted with it. But now I have this awesome hunter minion that doesn't belong in my mage deck, and you can actually see the synergy coming out here, where he's going to give the plates lots of attacks with these cups, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter, because I'm going to blow them all away in 1 turn anyway. He's not even going to get to attack with them. Now normally, he would have, I think it's the knife gives them taunt. I think it's the fork that gives them charge. This is a very bizarre boss, by the way. But because of my incessant board clear, I was able to maintain face momentum and blow the silverware golem away. It's polishing time indeed. I get my cards, and now it's time to move on to the Magic Mirror boss. And the Magic Mirror, I used the same deck. I actually had no idea what this particular boss would be like going into it. But I figured, if one deck worked well in this wing, it might work well again in the second. Now you see these 2 mana worms? These are the 2 important cards. These are the MVPs, the most important cards in the entire play session. Right here. That's because the Magic Mirror has a hero power that whenever either of us summons a minion, we also get a 1/1 copy of it. Oh, also, the Magic Mirror insults us incessantly. So I get Mana Worm, and then I get a 1/1 copy of Mana Worm. Now he's going to play the same card, but I'm feeling way more confident going into this. I loaded this deck up with a ton of spells. I'm ready to deal with him. So first of all, I decide I'm going to ping off his weaker Mana Worm with my hero power, since I didn't really have a good card I wanted to play on turn 2, and then I go for face for a little bit. Now he's going to trade into my Mana Worm, and he's going to hit me with Arcane Missiles. Fortunately, none of them hit my Mana Worm, so I am completely safe, and I can trade into him if I cast another spell. But I don't have one I can cast on turn 2. So instead, I'm going to get a second Mana Worm, which also means I'm going to get a 3rd/4th Mana Worm. I say 4th, but my other one died. And I can just use my hero power to safely trade in. Now, I am actually, and you won't believe this, well, actually you might, I am set up to win the game with this current board. Now he's going to play down the Evil Heckler, and all that's going to do is enable his downfall. Check this out. So first, we take a fireball, and we lob it in the Heckler's face. All of my Mana Worms get a nice, big, juicy bonus from that. I throw my strongest Mana Worm into the Evil Heckler, as I don't want to be vulnerable to like an Arcane Explosion or anything like that. He's going to play down a Kobold, going to get some spell damage, but I'm not going to give him the chance to use it. I have so much to deal with everything that he wants to throw at me. I'm going to get another boost from this fireball. That Kobold's going to die. I'm going to trade once more with my healthy Mana Worm into the Clone Kobold. And now I have a boosted board. I have spells for days. And I'm really not sure that this boss has anything to do to me. Yeah, I haven't seen any spells come out besides these spell damage minions. Now on Heroic, this boss is probably infuriatingly difficult. But right now, I'm just laughing, dude. This is awesome. I throw out my Arcane Missiles. I get another boost. Now all the missiles unfortunately go into that one Ogre, but I do have an Arcane Explosion to clear the board and give myself even more attack power. I throw out my hero power, and I lay into his face again. And at this point, I've pretty much wrapped up this boss. There's nothing he can really do to win it. Even if he managed to clear my board, I have spells in my hand. I've got my Wild Pyromancer. I have this in the bag. So I'm going to finish this off with a Firelands Portal, going to nuke him in the face, and my Mana Worms are actually going to draw out the duration of this as they get an extra boost, and I get a little Gnome Pirate to finish things off. And he insults me in the end too. But whatever. I won anyway, and I got the cards for it. Now, after you've dealt with the Magic Mirror, you're going to have to deal with the chess event. And the chess event, I'm going to have sped up here. This is one of the most interesting bosses I've ever seen in a card game ever. Basically, all of the minions, save for the Knight, can only attack in a straight line. I can't direct where they're going to attack. They're just going to attack whatever in front of them. So it's all about using Hearthstone's unique positioning mechanic to try and get the edge on your opponent. Now as you can see, because my minion sits in front of both of his chess pieces, my minion's going to take the brunt of both of their attacks. However, if I had two minions, then it would be more like a one-on-one fight as each of our minions squared off against each other. And that's what makes this whole game mode very interesting. Each minion has its own unique power. The pawn is very straightforward, it attacks directly in front of it, it deals 1 damage. The rook is a direct upgrade where it deals 2 damage. The knight actually caught me by surprise. I was expecting it to have an auto attack, and it didn't. You have to manually attack with the knight, just like a regular Hearthstone card. The knight is basically used as a nuke. It does a lot of damage, and you can direct it to whichever piece you need it to, so the knight can be used to finish off a strong, weakened piece your opponent has, and turn the board in your favor. The bishop heals the pieces next to it, the queen does 4 damage, and you kind of just have to use positioning and luck in order to manipulate the board so that you're getting the most out of it versus your opponent. The other thing to look out for is your opponent's hero power, which will remove your leftmost minion. And all of that is basically why this is sped up and I'm not explaining my move step by step. With a normal Hearthstone game, I can explain, like, I put the Sludge Belcher down as it was on the best mana curve, and then I attacked with it on the next turn into another minion in order to try and get the most out of its death rattle. I can explain that kind of thing. But with this, it's very much in the moment, right? I have so many of these cards, right? You can get as many pawns or rooks or knights as you need from your hero power, which lets you discover a piece every turn, and you just try and manipulate the board. And the other weird thing too is that since they auto-attack, there's this big disconnect, right? Like, I'm not actively making those moves, the game is kind of making them for me, if that makes any sense. It's a good game mode though, it's a ton of fun, I really did enjoy playing with it, and I think it has a lot of potential. However, it does make commentating just a little bit difficult, as there's nothing really to say. I put the pieces down and then they did their own thing. However, I can absolutely see how strategy becomes a severe necessity as you move towards the heroic stages of this game. I ended up having to rely on the queens a ton during this, as eventually my opponent got his own queens a bunch, and with just regular pawns and rooks, I wasn't able to keep up with the damage. So whenever I would get my hero power, I would almost always take a queen or a rook or a knight. I stopped taking pawns after a while, and that might be a mistake at higher levels, but at least against this version of the AI, a normal mode, it ended up working out to my favor. I even had to cut some of this out just because of how repetitive the action looked, if that makes any sense. But in the end, I did have a lot of fun playing this. Like, this is the kind of thing where I will go back and play it on my own from time to time, just because of how much fun I had. However, I will say that it doesn't make for the best video content. But it was a fun boss nonetheless. I really did feel like I was kind of playing chess the card game, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of people will get a big kick out of this. It's definitely unlike anything I've ever seen before, except for actual chess. But if you guys have enjoyed this, then please let me know with a like and a comment down below, and remember, I'm still taking questions for my Q&A video, so leave a question down below with the hashtag #RagTalk, and I will feature it in a video coming up. Just once again, don't make it too gross or disgusting. And I will see you guys when we return next time for the opera. Until then, be sure to take care and have a good one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye! As a ranger, I'm always prepared for the unexpected. What about the unexpected? I'm sorry. Elijah. I hope you'll forgive me for my jokies.